Time now to welcome in CBS Sports NFL writer Tyler Sullivan and the czar of the playbook, Emory Hunt, for a deeper look into the betting angles for TNF. Gentlemen, Colts at Broncos was one of the few games that stayed true to the look-ahead number of 3. That was until Jonathan Taylor was ruled out this afternoon. Interestingly, Vegas not valuing that loss too high, adjusting the line by only a hook. Emory, how does the Taylor injury affect how you are playing this game?
It affects it a lot, Katie. When you think about what the Broncos want to come in and do is get pressure on Matt Ryan. He's 37 years old. He's not the most mobile guy. They're a little bit banged up on the offensive line. He's been sacked 15 times in 4 games. That's what, 3.5 sacks a game. So for me, if I'm Denver, I'm just turning up that pressure and trying to get after him. Because they can't run the football, they won't be able to. They wasn't running the football successfully with Taylor so far this season. So I feel like it's going to put Matt Ryan in a bad situation where they're going to have to throw more than they want to. So I'm going to lay these 3.5 points with the Broncos. I trust their defense. Both defenses will come to play. I would even play the under. I don't think anyone is going to score over 40 points in this ballgame combined. So go under, but also lay those points with Denver.
I like you there with the under on this one. Obviously, these two teams are one of the lowest scoring teams in the NFL on a points per game basis. Indianapolis dead last in the NFL. Denver not too far off, third lowest in a points per game basis. But I will take the field goal in the hook here, mostly because of that reason. I think it's going to be an extremely low-scoring game. I think it's going to be tightly contested, which would indicate that, I'd like to get that field goal in the hook there. I love it now that Jonathan Taylor's out. I liked it before when it was +3. I like it even more now when it's +3.5. Yes, certainly losing a player like Jonathan Taylor is going to hurt this offense for Indianapolis. But let's not sleep on the losses that Denver had either. Javonte Williams out for the season with the torn ACL. Randy Gregory, key pass rusher for this team, not going to be playing in this game either. So for Denver, they have missing pieces on this offense and defense. And when you look at what they've been able to do this season, this offense hasn't been that impressive. Yes, Russell Wilson may be starting to cook up a little bit, but I think it's going to be more of an appetizer, let alone maybe more of an entree. I don't think that's going to happen here. You look at what they've done this season. The worst red zone touchdown percentage in the NFL, the highest punt rate in the NFL. I think that the Indianapolis Colts keep this thing close or win this thing outright, but very much like taking the points in the hook here.
I'm going to ride with you guys on the under. I know you're on opposite sides here, but I do like that under as well. Both teams averaging just 14 and 16 points, respectively. Time to prop things up, though, guys, all right? No Jonathan Taylor tonight. The Colts will likely lean on their passing game, which opens up some interesting opportunities in the prop market for Matty Ice and their receivers. Tyler, what's a prop bet that you're eyeing for the Colts?
Yeah, I say that I'll take the points with the Indianapolis Colts, but I still think Matt Ryan is going to throw an interception in this game. I like the over here on. He just has to throw one, and I think that's certainly possible. You look at the recent history of Matt Ryan on short weeks. In the 3 games that he started in short weeks, the last 3 games, he's thrown 6 interceptions. I mean, that is just, money when we're looking at this type of a prop here. And then you go a little bit further. You look at what he's done with his wide receivers this season. Obviously, with Jonathan Taylor not being around, they're probably going to throw a little bit more. They're not going to just throw Nyheim Hines as the bell cow back in this offense. So when you look at what this offense is probably poised to do, got to lean a little bit more on Michael Pittman, which is good, but he's also going to have to lean on his other wide receivers. And when he's targeted those wide receivers this season, he's thrown 4 interceptions. 0 to Michael Pittman, which is good, but when he has to look at those other guys, which is probably what's going to happen against this Denver defense, trying to take away Michael Pittman, the only true number 1 option now at the skill position players on this offense, Matt Ryan just hasn't been that productive. So I will go with the over on interceptions here for Matt Ryan.
It's like you have to do things in reverse when you're missing your top dog. So if you don't have Jonathan Taylor, but you still want to have some semblance of a run game, you got to pepper these guys with short, quick passes. And they have the luxury of having a bunch of catch and run guys. You start at receiver, Pittman and Alex Pierce. Excellent receivers, can catch and run, make things happen after the catch. Nyheim Hines, we know what he can do in space. You also look at Kyler Granson, the tight end. He's another one that can catch and make things happen after the catch, because we know the Broncos will try to play the run on the way to the quarterback. So with that being the case, Matt Ryan going over 20.5 completions is the play here, because they will try to run the football, but their short, quick passing game will be the supplement to stop the blitz, but also beat these guys out on the perimeter and allow the pressure to kind of ease up before we can see more run game and more drop back passes. So I do think he goes over 20.5 completions against the Broncos.
Switching over to the Broncos, Denver also dealing with some key injuries in their run game as well. Javonte Williams is out for the season with a torn ACL. Emory, what's a prop that you like for Denver?
I always love finding disrespectful props, and this one right here is highly disrespectful. 2.5 receptions going over that for Melvin Gordon. You look at Javonte Williams being out, the biggest effect he had on this offense is that he was a second targeted player in the passing game. I love the receiving options for Denver, but we've seen that passing game not be able to get those guys the football. It was a lot of dump offs to Javonte Williams, so that's going to be replaced by Melvin Gordon. I think that's how he's going to be able to redeem himself against this defense. Their run game, to me, is another question mark because of how he puts the ball on the ground, but also they have an ace in the hole. They have Russell Wilson's ability to run. I think we'll see a little bit more of that in terms of scrambling, which also means he's going to find outlet receivers, which also means Melvin Gordon going over 2.5 receptions. I believe is at plus 136. Easy money.
I'm also targeting Melvin Gordon, but I'm having him go under his rushing yard total of 57.5 in this game. And it's for a couple of reasons. The prevailing thought is that with the Javonte Williams injury, him being out for the year, that Melvin Gordon is going to get the lion's share of the touches in that backfield. Might certainly be true in this game, but I think it's going to be a little bit more of a committee than some may think. Mike Boone, if you look back at that game last week, he outsnapped Melvin Gordon rather considerably and had more targets and had more carries in that second half when Williams wasn't a factor. Yes, Gordon could still have the leading touches out of that backfield, but I think it's going to be a little bit more tightly contested than some may think. And then the other factor to all this, too, is something that Emory just kind of talked about a little bit. Melvin Gordon puts the football on the ground, and so you're running the risk, if you want to take the over on this rushing prop, that if he puts the ground in the first quarter or somewhere in the first half, you run the risk of Nathaniel Hackett saying, I got to put this guy on the bench. He's too much of a liability for us as we're trying to win this football game. So if all of a sudden you're sitting there with an over 57.5 rushing yard prop for Melvin Gordon and he fumbles at some point in the first half, you could be holding that ticket with that dude on the bench.
Yeah, Emory. I mean, it's a gutsy one to take Melvin Gordon over his receptions. Gordon certainly needs the bounce back. 5 fumbles in 5 straight games dating back to last season. Tyler, Emory, as always, thank you for your time. Let's take a second look at those picks. Like the betting market, Tyler and Emory are split on the Broncos and Colts. As for player props, Emory has a little bit more of a positive outlook for Matt Ryan and Melvin Gordon, while Tyler is looking to fade both.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.